The time is 8:17.
Now, it's been labelled the worst treatment disaster in the history of the NHS. Thousands of patients were infected with HIV and hepatitis C, passed on through contaminated blood products in the 1970s and 80s. Over the years, the UK government has faced repeated claims that it participated in a cover-up, hiding the extent of its knowledge about the scandal. Those suspicions will be further fuelled this morning by the revelation that close to 1,000 documents about contaminated blood are missing from UK government departments, checked out but not returned by civil servants. Jason Evans, whose father died in 1993 having contracted hepatitis and HIV, was behind the Freedom of Information request that brought these missing documents to light. He joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
First of all, just tell us about your dad. You were young, I think, when he died.
Yeah, so he died as a result of the infections he acquired through these Factor VIII products. He died in 1993 when I was 4 years old.
Tell us about why you went through this Freedom of Information request for sight of the findings of this audit that the UK government had carried out.
Well, for the last 2 years, I've been working very hard in conjunction with another campaigner called Andrew March to go through and identify as many files as possible in the public space. And it quickly became apparent that unlike what ministers were saying, they were not already in the public space. And so after a long battle, I finally got this report, and the scale of this was really on a level I didn't imagine. I mean, this isn't just 1,000 documents, this is 1,000 files, of which each file will contain hundreds of individual pages. So we're talking about tens of thousands, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of documents.
Most of them have been returned, is that right? There are 45 that are still missing, 45 files.
Well, that's it. There are 45 that remain unaccounted for, which is potentially just under 5,000 documents. And, we want these documents because we really want to get to the truth. We want the state to accept negligence. And as you may know, Scotland did have an inquiry into this, the Penrose inquiry, which reported in 2015. It was widely branded a cover-up by campaigners. It didn't investigate any individual case of these Factor products. And actually, the former director of the Scottish National Blood Transfusion Service, Professor John Cash, he highlighted that one of the big constrictions of that inquiry was that it didn't investigate the pharmaceutical companies. So companies like Bayer, Baxter and Armour Pharmaceuticals were not looked at in depth.
And so there is this inquiry that is now ongoing. It's UK-wide. What kind of confidence do you have in it to deliver what you would like to see?
I think there is confidence in this inquiry. It's UK-wide. We worked very hard with our team at Collins Solicitors, in particular Des Collins and Danielle Holliday, to make sure those terms of reference were really what they wanted to be, so the inquiry had the scope it needs to get to the truth. I think the inquiry chairman, Sir Brian Langstaff, he's very genuine, very sincere, and I do believe he really wants to get to the bottom of this cover-up, which implicates very high-profile people, ministers such as Ken Clarke and others.
Except that this inquiry is going ahead without, as you said, quite a number of documents.
Well, exactly. I mean, we're hopeful that now this has come to light, the Department of Health and the Department for Education, oddly enough, which seems to have taken 500 of these files, will now return them. I did find it almost amusing that in the report by the Government Internal Audit Agency, they said that the Department of Health has now put up some posters to try and encourage staff to return them. But at the end of the day, they have to get a grip on their documentation system. I think any public library probably operates more proficiently.
Yeah, you as you were telling us, your dad died when you were very young, and you've put a lot of energy and effort into finding out what happened. What has kept you going?
I think really, when I actually became involved in March 2015 when the Penrose inquiry reported. And as, growing up as a teenager, I'd watched this kind of battle going on by ill people, by dying people, by widows, by bereaved people. But I'd never really got involved in the campaign. And I think when that really tough blow came, it really sparked something in me. And I think I've come into this with a bit of fresh energy, and I certainly plan on seeing the whole thing through. And but it's not just myself. There are plenty of campaigners out there all doing their part, and I think we're all very determined now. We know this is the the last chance to get the truth on the record and to get the state to accept negligence.
Jason, thanks very much indeed for your time this morning. That's Jason Evans there. The time now is coming up to 23 minutes past 8.